Hey guys, how's it going? It's Alpha here, and thanks for joining me for another Puzzle and Dragons video. Today, Zaerog Infinity is in town, and I'm hopping in with my Bastet team. Now, if you are unfamiliar with these type of dungeons, they're called rogue type dungeons, and all of your cards start at level 1. So that means all the time and effort you put in to build them up to a high level is gone. What does stick around, though, are awakenings, pluses, and skill level. So all of those come into play, but things like your hit points, attack, and recovery are much lower as you start. So this dungeon gives you not too much room for error, especially starting off. Every single one of these guys hits you for 30,000 hit points. So you need to activate, you need to kill them in one turn. And to reduce the choke factor, I go ahead and use a Bastet active, which also has a mass attack, which is extremely useful for these early stages so that you know you're going to be doing enough damage because every single attack will go to every single monster on the floor, and you don't have to worry about doing any TPAs. Which for me, to do TPAs and 7 combos under a bit of pressure where I know I'm going to die on the turn if I miss it is a little tough. So you can see here on the second floor, you deal with some Pangras and dragons, and because green is weak to, or wood I should say, is weak to fire element, I did not kill the last little fire guy there. So I actually looked up at the screen after looking down and doing the turn, and I was kind of surprised he was sitting there. His little bugger, he's still around. I don't even think this move kills him. Let's see. Okay, we take him out. Okay, moving on to floor 3. This can be a tricky floor, trickier than you might think, especially if you roll in with anyone with a dark attack, because these guys will absorb dark for quite a while, and they hit for a decent amount. The 2 Shieldras on the side over there will hit for, let's see, 8,444. And the middle one will hit for 5,100, but he will also create dark orbs. So in this case, I'm not going to attack with dark anyways. I don't have any dark element, but it could get really hairy really quick. So be careful on that floor and plan your team accordingly. Now moving on, this is when things start getting random. The first couple floors were kind of random, but you know the type of monsters you'll be facing. Now you face guys of all different elements. These are the pirate dragons. So these guys are not too tough. You're not going to be facing anything that's going to one-shot you. And you can see here, I actually, do I even activate here? I do. Okay, good. One thing about me and Bastet is sometimes we don't get along when, mainly when I completely choke on a floor, which definitely happens at some point here. This video obviously is a decent video, which is why I'm sharing it with you, but there were quite a few times where that final floor, if you're familiar with the dungeon, I think is one of the more nerve-wracking floors in the entire game. Right here you see I only skyfall into an activation, which it happens, and I'm going against a monster of opposite element again that I'm weak against, the fire element, so I'm doing half damage. So really I want to be looking at doing TPAs and 7 combos to get that full damage, and instead I'm doing single matches, and I think I do activate here, but still you can see here I do a 6 combo, which is not a full attack multiplier for a Woken Bastet, and thankfully this guy, he does not do too much here. He puts up, what does he do? His first turn he puts up a status shield, I think, right? Let's see, he does a preemptive, he puts up a status shield, then he will, he skips his turn, which he just did, and now the only problem is next thing he does is do a pretty big attack that will kill me. So you can see right here, I managed to once again not kill him, and now I realize I could be in a bit of trouble. So I want to use my actives. Now, the order in which I want to use them, I want to make sure I save Mei towards the end, so use the other skills before her because she has a haste. She'll bring other active skills back up quickly. So I decided to go for a Verdandi active here. She has, I believe, my not the lowest cooldown, but I wanted to save Vishnu for a particular reason. I mess up a diagonal there. It's nothing too new. I'm not fantastic with diagonals there, but I do hit a 7 combo. I do, and of course with Bastet, when you use an active skill, it boosts up your attack, which makes a 7 combo into a 36x attack, and I'm able to take him out. Now here, I'm kind of faced with a weird situation here where there's a chance these Paindras are all going to skip. Well, you can see I have 3 monsters up on 1 turn. And so I could obviously focus on them, but I cannot activate with any green or wood attack, I should say. So I use what I consider to be my lowest value active, and that's Liu Bei. And you can see he creates a lot of green orbs. And it's kind of wacky because he's a very strong TPA-based monster, but the amount of green orbs he creates would be fantastic for road teams. And I think he actually has a row. I'm actually thinking of using him on a green road team at some point. But either way, neither here nor there, I am able to take out that floor. And now we're faced with some of the King Metal Dragons. Now these guys, I'm fortunate that I don't have a red one here, so I don't have to do double damage to break the defense. They have 180,000 defense and then about 57,000 hit points on top of that. So you have to make sure you're doing at least 230,000 damage will break the defense and kill them. So they do have high defense, but they do also have some hit points, so just breaking the defense won't do enough. So there we go, I'm able to take them out right there. So now we're moving on to the floor where we're facing the heavy metal dragons, the high metal dragons, all that kind of stuff. So the heavy metal dragon, he has 4 million? 4 million hit points on a 3-turn countdown, and he will kill you in 1 shot. The guys on the side, they won't kill you in 1 shot, but they're still kind of nasty here. So I use my Bastet active, and actually I didn't really want to do that. I wanted to make sure I hit it, but right when I realized I used my Bastet active, I was not happy, and I'll show you why in a moment. Because, I mean, obviously, if you know the dungeon, you want to use some sort of buff that Zaerog will have to dispel, but then also at the end, it's nice to have that Bastet active so you have extra time to do your finishing move and hopefully take out Zaerog. So here, I make sure I do a TPA, and I kind of work myself in a corner here, which is not too smart, but I'm able to recover and hit a 6 combo. And Vishnu's active helps me out quite a bit to get up to an 8 combo on the Skyfall, and I take this stage out. Okay, so now we're moving on to Zaerog. Now this right here I find is the most stressful floor in Puzzle and Dragons, where you have to hit 6 combos or he one-shots you dead. That is it. So I made sure to save my Vishnu active, which is almost max skilled. He's at a pretty low cooldown, but I still wanted to save him to the end because I have a green wood orb Skyfall, so that if I screw up, which is, I mean, let's be honest, it's not going to be too rare that I could flub a combo, and especially with this kind of pressure, I know that I have at least a possibility to Skyfall into the final combo, or final combos, which will kind of save my butt. So I'm kind of thinking out the board here, just to be sure, and you can see I was set up pretty nicely to kind of flow right through up at the top and go through down at the bottom, and I ended up having to do a diagonal to finish off, but I was able to finish it off and get these 6 combos. So now, this right here is tough. He takes away 1 second of movement time, and you've got to hit 6 combos. So I fast forward through all of me sitting there, being miserable, thinking about how I'm going to mess it up. And we get to the movement here. So once again, you're dealing with, you're not really going to be able to do brute force stacking, which is kind of the ability to match everything, moving up from one side of the board to the other. And you see I actually do get 5 combos, and my Vishnu active bails me out and gets me up over the threshold so I don't die. So at this point, as long as you've attacked with all of your elements, so in this case, all I have to do is match green and red all of those last 2 turns. I have him down to a point where he will die as long as, again, I attack with all my elements. Since this is only a 2-element team, I could literally just make 2 combos here, 1 match of red, 1 match of green, and he will have to transform into his final form, and I will defeat this one. So there we go. Thank goodness this part is done. That was pretty much the hardest part of the dungeon. I've died in here by doing stupid things like missing an activation on the first floor, stuff like that. But that is definitely the part where you will die the most if the nerves catch up to you. So moving on to the final form of Zaerog, you want to use something that will buff up and have a lasting effect here. So in this case, it was the what's it called? The Wildcat move, which does the 3-turn mass attack. I'm sorry. And so that causes him to do that debuff right there instead of doing a bind on all of your. Is it gods he binds or everyone? Let's see. He binds everyone. He does not care. So I saved up my Mei. I used it. That does not get anyone else's skills up. So I'm looking for a one-shot here. So I'm going to be, again, my Bastet came back up, thankfully. It's a 5-turn cooldown for her active. So you're able to get it back up. And so now at this point, I need to hit 7 combos, hit TPAs. That's pretty much what I'm trying to do here. I need to one-shot him because he has some nasty stuff like healing and everything else that I really just don't want to be dealing with, especially when my actives are not currently up. So I go ahead. You can see here I'm not a Bastet player. I messed up that one. I had 2 TPAs built. I messed the one on the left up, but I'm able to get up to my 7 combos I need, and I did have a TPA up at the top. We were able to take out Zaerog. So he is an amazing farmable card, one of the best cards you can farm in the game. So if you're able to take out Zaerog Infinity, Bastet is one of the most reliable ways to do so because you're able to continually hit your full multiplier, and because it's a rogue style dungeon, she has a low cost, which means she'll level up pretty well, and all of her typical teammates will level up pretty well as well. So anyways, guys, that is how I got through Zaerog Infinity. Hopefully you guys can do the same and you enjoyed the video. If so, please like. If you have not yet, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.